Picture this. You're at your own wedding reception. You just said, "I do." The cake is cut. Your first dance is done. And then your mother-in-law grabs the microphone, taps a champagne glass, and announces she's renewing her vows. Right there. In front of your guests. At your wedding. That's story 3. But we're not starting there. Today we're diving into 3 real stories of mother-in-laws who didn't just overstep, they declared war. One tried to poison the bride. Another wore a wedding dress to upstage her. And the third? She turned her son's big day into her own personal anniversary party. Weddings bring out the best in people and the absolute worst in monsters. Let's meet the brides who fought back.
Okay, so I need to set the stage here. My wedding was 3 months out, and I thought I had everything locked down. Venue? Check. Dress? Check. Catering? Double check. My fiancé, let's call him Matt, and I spent weeks with the catering company picking the perfect menu. We went with this beautiful mix: herb-crusted salmon, garlic mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, and a vegetarian pasta option. Simple, elegant, safe. Here's the thing, though. I have a severe shellfish allergy. Like, EpiPen in my purse, hospital trip if I even touch it level. Matt's mom, we'll call her Linda, knew this. I told her myself at our engagement dinner. She even made this big show of saying, "Oh honey, we'll make sure you're safe, don't you worry." I should have known. So 2 days before the wedding, I get a call from the catering manager. Super casual. She says, "Hey, just confirming the menu changes you requested last week." I freeze. "I'm sorry, what changes?" She rattles off the new menu. Shrimp scampi. Crab stuffed chicken. Lobster bisque shooters as appetizers. I felt my stomach drop. Every single dish had shellfish. She says, "Your mother-in-law called and said you wanted a more coastal, elegant vibe." I'm shaking at this point. I tell her, I'm deathly allergic to shellfish. I never approved this. Do not make those changes. She apologizes, says Linda was very insistent, even confirmed the changes twice. The caterer assumed it was legit because Linda had our wedding info and deposit receipt numbers. Apparently, Linda told them I was too stressed to handle the details and she was taking care of it for me. I hung up and immediately called Matt. He didn't believe me at first. He kept saying, "Mom wouldn't do that. Maybe it's a miscommunication." I said, "Matt, your mother tried to fill our wedding with food that could literally kill me. That's not a miscommunication. That's attempted murder." That got his attention. We drove to Linda's house that night. I stayed in the car because I knew if I went in, I'd lose it. Matt went inside. I could hear the shouting from the driveway. Linda's voice, high-pitched, playing victim, I was just trying to help. The original menu was so boring. I thought she'd appreciate something fancier. Matt came back out 10 minutes later, white as a sheet. He got in the car and just sat there. Finally, he said, she admitted it. She said she thought you were exaggerating about the allergy. I laughed. Not a fun laugh. This woman is insane laugh. We called an emergency family meeting the next day. Matt's dad, his sister, my parents, everyone. Linda showed up in full victim mode, dabbing her eyes with a tissue, saying she just wanted to make the wedding special. I stood up. I had my phone ready. I played the voicemail from the caterer confirming Linda's exact words, "The bride is too stressed. I'm handling it. She'll thank me later." The room went silent. Matt's dad looked at Linda like he'd never seen her before. My mom's jaw was on the floor. Linda tried to backtrack, saying the caterer misunderstood her, but it was too late. Everyone saw it. The mask slipped. Matt told her she was uninvited from the rehearsal dinner. His dad didn't argue. His sister actually hugged me and whispered, "I'm so sorry. I didn't think she'd go this far." Linda left in tears, screaming about how we were ruining the family. The wedding went off perfectly. The original menu stayed. I didn't die. And Linda? She showed up to the ceremony. Matt's dad insisted she be allowed to come, but she sat in the very back row, stone-faced, arms crossed. She didn't speak to us for 6 months. Honestly? Best wedding gift she ever gave me was her silence.
Attempted culinary assassination. That's a new one. Linda thought she could gaslight her way out of anaphylaxis. Spoiler, she couldn't. But here's the thing, some mother-in-laws don't deal in subtlety. Some don't sabotage behind the scenes. Some walk right into the war zone wearing their weapons. Our next bride didn't just deal with boundary issues. She dealt with a mother-in-law who showed up to the wedding in a full bridal gown. White, lace, veil, the works. And let me tell you, Karma wore red wine that day.
Alright, so my wedding day started perfect. Hair. Flawless. Makeup. Flawless. Dress. I looked like a damn princess. My maid of honor, let's call her Jess, was with me the whole morning, hyping me up, making sure I ate, keeping me calm. My fiancé's mom, we'll call her Diane, had been a lot during the wedding planning. She wanted control over everything. The flowers, the seating chart, the music. My fiancé, bless him, kept shutting her down, but she'd always find little ways to insert herself. Like she'd text the DJ directly. Or call the florist pretending to be me. But the morning of the wedding? Radio silence from Diane. I thought, okay, maybe she's finally chilling out. Maybe she realized this is MY day. I was so naive. The ceremony's about to start. I'm in the bridal suite with Jess and my bridesmaids. My mom pokes her head in and says, "Honey, you need to see something." Her face was pale. I knew something was wrong. I walk out into the hallway and I see her. Diane. Standing near the entrance of the church in a full white wedding gown. Not ivory. Not cream. White. Strapless, fitted bodice, full skirt, lace overlay. She even had a freaking brooch bouquet in her hands. She looked like she was about to walk down the aisle herself. Jess saw her at the same time I did. She grabbed my arm and said, "Oh, hell no." I was frozen. I didn't even know what to say. Diane saw me staring and smiled. Smiled. Like she thought I'd be okay with it. She walked up and said, "Do you like it?" I wanted to look nice for my son's big day. I couldn't find words. My brain short-circuited. But Jess? Jess was ready. She stepped in front of me and said, loud enough for people nearby to hear, "Diane, you're wearing a wedding dress." Diane laughed. "Oh, this old thing? It's just a formal gown." Jess said, "It's white. It's a wedding dress. And you need to change." Diane's smile dropped. "I will do no such thing. I have every right to wear what I want." That's when my mom stepped in. My mom, who never raises her voice, said, "Diane, either you change, or you leave." Diane looked around for backup. My fiancé's dad, let's call him Bob, was standing a few feet away, looking at his wife like she'd lost her mind. He didn't say a word. Just shook his head. Diane huffed and said, "Fine. I'll stay. But I'm not changing." Jess pulled me back into the bridal suite. I was about to cry. She grabbed my shoulders and said, "Do not let her ruin this. We're handling it." I said, "How?" She grinned. "Trust me." The ceremony happened. Diane sat in the front row, smug as hell. I could see her in my peripheral vision the whole time, and it made my blood boil. But I got through it. I married the love of my life. We kissed. Everyone clapped. Then came the reception. Cocktail hour was fine. Dinner was fine. Diane kept getting looks from guests, like, people were definitely whispering about the dress, but she didn't care. She was soaking up the attention. Then it happened. Jess was walking past Diane's table with a full glass of red wine. Merlot. Deep, dark, staining red. And somehow, Jess tripped. The wine went everywhere. All over Diane's white dress. The bodice, the skirt, the lace. It looked like a crime scene. Diane screamed. Jumped up, knocking her chair over. She started yelling at Jess, who was apologizing profusely, saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, it was an accident, I tripped on the chair leg." But here's the thing. I saw it. Jess didn't trip. She walked right up to that table, made eye contact with me across the room, and dumped that wine. Diane was sobbing, trying to blot the wine out with napkins, but it was hopeless. The dress was ruined. She looked at my now husband and yelled, "Your wife's friend did this on purpose." He looked at her, looked at the dress, and said, "Mom, you shouldn't have worn white." She left 20 minutes later. Bob stayed for the rest of the reception. He came up to me during the father-daughter dance and said, "I'm sorry. She's been out of control. Congratulations, sweetheart." I hugged him. He's a good guy. Diane? Not so much. Jess is still my best friend. I bought her a bottle of the most expensive Merlot I could find as a thank you gift. She keeps it on her shelf, unopened, like a trophy.
Poetic justice tastes like Merlot. Diane learned a hard lesson. If you dress like the bride, don't be surprised when someone redecorates your outfit. But as bold as that was, it's not the craziest thing on this list. Our final mother-in-law didn't just want attention. She wanted the entire wedding to stop and celebrate her. She hijacked the reception, grabbed the mic, and turned her son's marriage into her own anniversary special. This is the one that'll make you throw your phone.
So, my wedding reception was going perfectly. We'd just finished our first dance. The toasts were done. People were eating, drinking, having a great time. My husband, let's call him Jake, and I were finally able to relax and just enjoy the night. Jake's mom, we'll call her Carol, had been surprisingly well-behaved all day. She cried during the ceremony in a normal way, she took photos, she danced with Jake's dad. I actually thought, wow, maybe she's not as bad as everyone warned me. Again. Naive. We're about an hour into the reception. The DJ is playing upbeat music. I'm talking to my cousin when I hear the music cut. I look over, and Carol is standing next to the DJ booth, holding the microphone. My stomach dropped. She taps the mic and says, "Hello, everyone. Can I have your attention, please?" The room goes quiet. Jake looks at me, confused. I shrug. Maybe she's doing a surprise toast? That's fine, right? Carol starts talking. Thank you all so much for being here to celebrate Jake and his beautiful bride. This is such a special day. Okay, that's sweet. I relax a little. Then she says, "You know, weddings always remind me of my own special day. 35 years ago, I married the love of my life." She gestures to Jake's dad, who's sitting at a table looking like a deer in headlights. Carol continues, and I thought, what better way to honor love than to renew our vows right here, right now, in front of all of you. I'm sorry, what? The room is dead silent. I look at Jake. His face is bright red. He's staring at his mom like she just grew a second head. Carol is beaming. She pulls a folded piece of paper out of her purse and says, "I wrote new vows. Sweetheart, come up here." Jake's dad doesn't move. He looks horrified. She calls him again, louder. "Come on, honey, don't be shy." A few guests laugh nervously. Most people are just frozen. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. Jake stands up. He walks over to his mom, and I think he's about to gently take the mic and shut this down. But no. She hands him a second piece of paper and says, "I wrote vows for you, too, so you don't have to improvise." Jake takes the paper, looks at it, and then looks at me. I can see the panic in his eyes. He crumples the paper and says, "Mom. Stop." Carol laughs. "Oh, honey, don't be embarrassed. Love is nothing to be embarrassed about." Jake's voice gets louder. Mom. This is my wedding. Not yours. The room is silent. You could hear a pin drop. Carol tries to laugh it off. You're overreacting. Everyone here loves a good love story. Jake takes the microphone from her hand. He looks out at the guests and says, I'm sorry, everyone. My mom is confused. This is not happening. He hands the mic back to the DJ and says, play the next song. Carol's face goes from shocked to furious. She storms over to our table and hisses at me, this is your fault. You turned him against me. I blinked. I hadn't said a word the entire time. I said, calm as I could, Carol, I didn't do anything. You tried to renew your vows at our wedding. She said, I was trying to show you what real love looks like. Jake stepped between us and said, Mom, leave. Now. She gasped. You're kicking me out of your wedding? He said, you kicked yourself out when you tried to make it about you. She grabbed her purse, glared at both of us, and said, you'll regret this. Then she left. Just walked out. Jake's dad stayed. He came up to us later, apologized, and said he had no idea she was planning that. He looked exhausted. The rest of the night was amazing. Once Carol left, it was like a cloud lifted. People were dancing, laughing, congratulating us. Our wedding planner even came up and said, in 20 years of doing this, I've never seen anything like that. Jake and I didn't talk to Carol for almost a year. She sent a few texts trying to guilt trip us, but we ignored them. Eventually, she apologized, sort of. She said, I'm sorry you felt hurt by my gesture. Not a real apology. But it's the closest we'll ever get. The funny thing? Our wedding video caught the whole thing. The editor asked if we wanted it cut out. We said no. Keep it in. It's a reminder of the day Jake finally stood up to her. And honestly, I've never been prouder of him.
3 weddings. 3 nightmares. 3 brides who refused to let the monster-in-law win. Here's the thing about boundaries, they only work if you enforce them. Linda got exposed. Diane got baptized in Merlot. And Carol? She got escorted out of her son's life. If you've got a mother-in-law story that tops these, drop it in the comments. And if you survived your own wedding hijacking, you've earned a drink. Until next time, stay vigilant.